Oh, I know I said I wouldn't show this, but we're gonna show it. Changing the hydraulic fluid, all the fluids in this thing, and the system holds 55 gallons, so we've got, well, somewhere over there, a couple jugs. Got a few gallons to put back in here. But when you just drain the reservoir, you only get, about 30 gallons. These cylinders hold quite a bit. The lines hold quite a bit, and well, we're draining it all out. Now, like I said in a previous video, I don't have the service manual. So the venting procedure, all that shit was not done. Because of that, we're just cracking stuff and letting it, letting it drain. The fluid in the lines actually looks pretty clean. What came out of the tank was pretty clean. But we're gonna get as much fluid as we can out. I've already drained the accessory lines. Luckily they're downhill, so I've drained everything from the top down. Right now, just getting more or less what's in the cylinder out, and a little bit here, but then I've got to probably crack the line there and let it drain from both sides. It's going to take a while, but this is the safe way to do it. I've even got safety glasses on, for Christ's sake. But getting the hydraulic reservoir empty was a real peach. Had this stuck up kind of underneath here. Had this 5-gallon bucket with this nifty little hole, kind of like that, and made it. Got our spill kit out right away. We dumped a couple gallons on the ground, but that and old floor mat I cut up because it's like right up the frame, up against the frame, and when it comes out, it hits a fucking distribution block and shit just goes everywhere. So had to get kind of redneck with it to try to not make too much of a mess. So floor mat's working out well. Got my little got my sluice box action going. Got my riffles. It's at I think it's, we might recover a little bit of precious metal out of here. Some chrome from these rods. No, the rods are fine. But a few little leaks we're gonna get. Obviously, all the flange blocks and stuff I pull off, we gotta change the O-rings. I've got to crack quite a bit of these to get it. But we're I'm gonna break this cylinder down, reseal it, so it looks like the gland and packing's leaking. It's more than just a wiper. So we're getting a kit for that. Changing all of the pilot valve hoses for the foot, or for the travel. The ones for the stick and boom, everything bucket, those are all fine, except for the actual pilot valve or joystick valve, whatever you want to call that. That's leaking in there somewhere. Obviously from up top, it's not leaking down here at the hoses, or it may be, but I doubt it. This one goes up and down, so I would imagine these would be hurt, but they're okay. When I was doing this drain plug, I dropped the goddamn drain plug into that, so gotta get a drain plug. I've got another temporary one in it for now, but I'm trying to get as much oil and fluids as we can in this and in the scraper, because we've got scheduled oil pickup coming, so we're going to try to get them 300 gallons or so to pick up, get rid of what we can now. But we'll be back with a little bit of this and that on this and that. Stay tuned. So what we've got going today is all these pilot valve or pilot circuit hoses under here. They're all going to get replaced. In the previous video, I talked about how I like to do hose changes, when you have dozens at the same time. I like to use this kind of variety pack of colored zip ties. Get them at O'Reilly's. They're like, you know, $4 or something like that. And you got a few colors in here, so what I like to do is the real small ones, I'll put around these real small hoses. You know, I'll put a white on the hose fitting and then a white on the nipple it comes off, or, you know, on the adjacent hose it connects to, whatever. You know, and once I've got a white, you know, well, I could put 2 whites on the next one, or a white and a blue, or a white and a black. It goes on and on. And there's 3 different length zip ties in here, so, you know, if you're working with big, you know, 1.5 or 1.75, 2 inch, whatever, OD hoses, you know, you use a big zip ties for that. And again, you can start with white, you know, obviously one of these little hoses isn't going to fit on the boom, so it's easy enough. I do have a schematic, a hydraulic schematic, and how these are laid out. So yeah, I could grab a hose and, you know, do like you would with spark plug wires and put them all on the way you think, and then when you're done, go, oh fuck, it'd look better if I, you know, took this one, put it over here. This one's got a bind in it, move it over to this. Why? Put color zip ties on them. When we get our hoses made, we ask for our old ones back. You know, usually they're pretty good about it, and they'll actually go and put a zip tie on the hose that they made, replacing the one that you have your color to. So, you know, you grab it out of the bundle. Well, this is blue, yellow. Find your blue, yellow, put it on there. It's pretty easy. I think it's the fastest way that I've found to do it, personally, for me. I say fastest because that's just the first way I thought of doing it, and I haven't tried any other way, to be honest. But I'm gonna get in here, and hopefully I have all the tools I need. Yeah, it looks like most of these are 3/4 or 19. That one's a little bigger. Looks like that one's yeah, that one's exactly an adjustable wrench size. So get plugging away on these. I don't know, it's not much to watch as far as me unscrewing shit. So once I get all of them off, them taken off, and got some, you know, I'll bring it back, just kind of show you how easy it is. But that's it for now. I use my phone to play music during the day, you know, so I need my phone. I can't have it doing this shit. So we'll be back. And we're back with a bin of hoses. But as you can see in there, they're all tagged different colors. I know it doesn't look like it in there, but they are. And then, you know, just a mess of colored zip ties, to include these leaking valves that need to be taken out. The only ones that really put up a fight, the only hoses, there was one pilot hose coming into each one of these joysticks, and they were stuck back at the grommet. There's not a lot of room with all the other hoses to pull it out, so took a while. And then I had one that went from over here over under to a connection going to the swing motor that ended up being seized on there and snapped off. One of those down there. But there's a lot of hoses in here. It looks like most of the main hoses were replaced before. Not most, I want to say 60-70% of them got new hoses, but none of the pilot system got hoses. I take that back. There's a few of them in here that look like they've either been replaced or somehow avoided just decay like the rest of them. But like I said, we got our leaking control valves out. I don't know if they have seal kits for these, or if we'll have to rebuild them or buy new ones or what, but they're out. So I'm gonna grab lunch, come back and work on this ram, try to get it broke down. I think what I'm gonna try to do is take that little piece off, push that pin all the way over to this side so that one's still held, and then lower this one down onto that track to where I can get my spanner on that gland and get it broke loose. If I leave this end attached to the machine, it keeps the you know, the barrel from wanting to spin, so that might be not too bad of a job. Other than that, to get these out, I usually run compressed air, you know, back whatever way. In this case, I'd want to send fluid down there and pop it out. So we'll see how that goes. But I need to get this gland off, get the piston out, so we can get a seal kit for this ram. Other than that, I'll come back when I've got this off and down and start dicking with that, and that's all I got for now. Didn't make too much of a mess. Most of the fluid was drained, which is another reason why we're changing these hoses now. Some of them, they look, you know, they look beat, but it's just the outer rubber and paint, you know, like this guy. You think, oh, well, it's just paint and shit cracking. Well, no, I can't really see it, but these cracks go all the way into this shit, this braided whatever. I know this outer kind of insulating layer of rubber or whatever, it's not what's holding the hose together. It's not what's keeping it from bursting, but it does help. It keeps this fabric from, you know, stretching and ballooning. That's what I say. I'm probably wrong, but a lot of these hoses were kinked. None of them were actually leaking. The previous video you saw underneath here, they had added on a couple of these T-blocks here to put pressure switches in for whatever reason. They're not going back in. Unless I could put them in and wrap the hose to where they're not kinked, in which case I may hook those up to, you know, a relay and maybe a flasher that'll beep a different horn, not our main horn. But that's where we're at. We'll be back once I get this bitch broke down. Okay, got the cylinder down just like I thought. Luckily, that son of a bitch was well greased. So she popped out. The gland seal on this one actually has the thread, you know, the little O-ring to keep water from getting into your gland threads, which is usually what makes these a pain in the ass to get apart. I used a small chain wrench. I actually didn't need to. I could have popped it with a hammer and a punch, but or just a, you know, 1 or 2 foot long spanner wrench, but got it on there. Piston seals, well, they're there. In case I've got to get this this piston off of here, so I can get that gland out, get all the seals and shit out of it, get some new piston seals, inner rods, all this shit, get it all blown apart in the shop over there, and get some seals hopefully tomorrow, and get the cylinder back in. So I haven't done a rod like this. What we've got here, surprisingly, this is the only whatever size yada 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 thread that is. What we've got, I'll try to keep the glare out. Well, this hole goes and bottoms out. This hole bottoms out. Doesn't go as deep. This hole, well, there we go.
So it's got that little chingadera in there. You can see there's a back to it. Now I've tried sticking a magnet in there and pulling it out, because on this hole, you can actually see the end of the rod down there and the threaded section. So I believe what they did was they drilled a hole into, you know, they spun it on there, they drilled a hole, they pressed a little pin in there, and then they had that over to keep the little lock pin from falling out. But that, you can't really see it, but it's up tight against this wall, so a magnet's not pulling it out. What I'm gonna do is drill that lock pin, drill it, thread it, run a bolt in it to where I can get a pry bar out here and pry it out, hopefully. I'm not gonna try, you know, like an easy out. I don't believe that inner rod is threaded. There'd be no way to drive it. There's not even a slot in it. So I believe it's just a tight tolerance and beat in there. So I've got, you know, once I've get that out of there, I've got some dowels to stick in there and unthread it. I hope it's not reverse thread, because I'm gonna give it all the beans. But we'll see once we're done. Finally got it. That took entirely too long. This pin used to be about that long. Because it was not centered with this hole, every time I drilled it, it kept wanting to walk off and walk off. It took entirely too long, but I finally got it out. So I'm not gonna show spinning this off. Fuck, it's dark now. We'll finish this up tomorrow.